Good day, class. So, for our lesson for today is all about part 1 of Module 5, titled Appropriate Techniques Used in Creating Art, Available Materials, and the Applications of Techniques. Art is human expression because it helps us to share thoughts, ideas, and visions that may not be able to be articulated any other way. Art offers us a method to communicate what we may not necessarily fully understand or know how to express. These expressions of man's thoughts and emotions may take many forms. It may be taught the use of pencil on paper, just like drawing two-dimensional or even three-dimensional object in a piece of paper, paint on canvas, which is usually practiced using different art mediums like watercolor, acrylic paint, oil, and etc. Wood and clay may be used in sculpture. Computer, a tall building may be an example of iconic work of art. A novel, like narrative, literature, or fiction. A song, a dancer, or a theatrical performance. Whatever choice is used, it would be largely depend on the artist's inborn talents, or in other words, they have natural talents and acquired abilities. So for two-dimensional and three-dimensional art is an essential component on this chosen expression is the material that he chooses to use to achieve the following purpose. In art, material technically refers to medium. In art, material technically refers to medium, the kind of medium an artist chooses to use would determine the outcome of his work. So, artistic medium is a term that is used by artists and art critics to refer to that out of which a work of art, or more generally, a particular art form is made. On the other hand, we often talk about an artist's medium by reference to the material out of which a work of art is made. So each medium has different qualities, and the processes or the techniques involved to produce the desired outcome may vary. So at the end of this lesson, students are expected to identify the varied materials and techniques, determine the following local materials used in creating art, understand available materials and the application of techniques, and explicates the use of available materials in creating art. Let's now proceed to two-dimensional art. Two-dimensional art consists of paintings, drawings, prints, and photographs, which differ from each other primarily in technique of their execution. So when a work of art is classified as being two-dimensional, it means that the composition possesses the dimension of a length and width, but does not possess depth. So for example, we have drawing in a piece of paper, painting, printmaking, collage, and more. Those are examples of a two-dimensional art. So probably our initial response to all is a response to subject matter. That is, we first notice that the painting, drawing, print, or photograph is about to represent a two-dimensional art. Such recognition leads us into the work's meaning and begins to shape our response to it. Beyond the recognition of subject, however, lie the technical elements chosen by artists to make their vision appear the way they wish it to appear, and these include media and composition. The media of two-dimensional art are paintings, drawings, prints, and photography. Paintings and drawings can be executed with oils, watercolors, tempera, acrylics, ink, and pencils, to name a few of the more obvious. Each physical medium has its own characteristics. As an example, let us look at oils. The media of the two-dimensional arts are paintings, drawing, prints, and photography. Paintings and drawings can be executed with oils, watercolors, tempera, acrylics, ink, and pencils, to name a few, the more obvious. Each physical medium has its own characteristics. As an example, let us look at oils first. So oils are one of the most popular of the painting media, and have been since their development around the beginning of the 15th century. They offer artists a broad range of color possibilities. They do not dry quickly and can therefore be reworked, and they present many options for textural manipulation, and they are durable also. So in addition to this, oil paints provide for a wide range of colors and a rich color depth, as they can be layered and mixed more freely than other paints such as watercolor or acrylics. Artists can subtly change the richness and tone of their colors by adding minute amounts of the colors for some instances. Oil paint can provide both increasingly opacity, which yields better covering power, and when tint, great transparency. Slow drying time, allowing artists to blend strokes of color and make changes during the painting process. Support and other materials. So with every new age of art, there are new unique techniques that define how the movement develops for a contemporary art. Among many techniques, you can find techniques such as minimalism, found objects, and large-scale paintings that we already discussed this in our previous discussions. Each of these bring their own unique perspective into the artistic community, and each is valued as a pick for a technique that is most influential in contemporary art. Look out for this when you're out at an exhibition. Next, you will find that they're much more relevant than you perhaps think that they are. So we have the first supported elements or support materials. We have the paper. Paper is a thin material produced by pressing together moist fibers or fibers of cellulose pulp derived from wood, rugs, or grasses, and drying them into flexible sheets. It is a versatile material with many uses, including writing, printing, packaging, cleaning, decorating, and a number of industrial and construction processes. So the paper is a relatively inexpensive medium, readily available and easier to work with than the more complicated media typically used in the creation of three-dimensional artwork, such as ceramics, wood, and metals. It is also neater to work with than paints, dyes, and other coloring materials. Let us now discuss the different kinds of paper support. So the first one, we have the laid paper. Laid paper is a type of paper having a ribbed texture imparted by the manufacturing process. So the laid paper was produced by the wire sieve in the rectangular mold used to produce single sheets of paper. So in addition to this, a laid paper is still used, especially by artists, as a support for charcoal drawings, and is also often used when a special antique looking finish is desired. Next we have the textured pastel, charcoal and craft paper. So this type has fine irregular texture pressed into the surface during the process of its manufacture. This paper is good for pastel and charcoal and can be used for layering but not for heavy. So textural paper is good for pastel and charcoal as well as expressive larger scale pencil sketching. Next we have the wood paper. So this is a paper made on a wool wire cloth like a fine sieve. The surface created is fine and smooth with no evidence of texture. This is best for ink drawings and realist pencil drawing. So wood paper developed in the mid 18th century is made from trays with a tightly woven wire mesh which leave a smoother surface and no visible lines. Artists use both handmade and machine-made paper, although handmade is often used for printmaking. Fine drawings were greatly developed with the design of wood paper. Next we have the rough-grained paper. This type has a bumpy surface. This is a favorite of watercolor artists. The tiny pits in the paper allows paint to pool in heavy wash, while in dry wash it leaves tiny dots of white that contributes to that characteristic effect of the whole work. So in great sense, a rough-grained paper has a noticeably bumpy surface. Rough paper is a traditional favorite of watercolors because the tiny pits allow paint to pool in a heavy wash. So at the same time, it leaves dots of light with a dry brush, so the texture can be used to great effect. Next we have the medium paper. So this paper has fine grain which can look subtle when shading with a sharpened pencil. Then we have the smooth hot pressed. This type of paper has been hot ruled or pressed during the production to create a very smooth flat surface. Hot press paper has a fine grained, smooth surface with almost no tooth. Paint dries very quickly on it. This makes it ideal for large painting, even washes of one of two colors. It is the paper used most often by watercolor artists. And it is because it is good for both not only large areas of wash but also as a fine detail. Next we have the canvas. A canvas is an extremely durable plain woven fabric used for making sails, tints, markers, backpacks, and other items for which sturdiness is required, as well as in fashion objects as handbags, electronic devices, cases, and shoes. So using canvas paper with an acrylic paint is simply an affordable way to explore different techniques and develops your painting skills. In case you're not familiar with this work surface, canvas paper is a heavyweight paper with a textured, coated surface that closely replicates the finished surface of a canvas. So it is therefore very effective in painting artwork. Next, we have the masonite. This wood is a trademark brand name of a particular type of board made from wood fibers and glue that is molded into a flat board. So masonite board are commonly 3 mm thick and can be used as a stretching board for a watercolor paper. A painting surface or a drawing board is to use as a painting surface. Very lightly sand the smooth and side prime with its several layers, and it is rigid and it has greater impact in application for oils and acrylics. For artistic purposes, masonite hardboard was an improvement over wood panels as a rigid support for oil and tempera painting. Next, we have the plywood. This is made from wood veneers, which are thin layers or slices of wood glued together. Plywood is industrially produced and can be made from local hardwoods or softwoods. So in addition to this, high grade or furniture plywood makes a good painting support. They are also good in painting. Extremely smooth plywood is made from birch, mahogany, and poplar and other types of wood. Hollow corridor is another painting surface to consider, and it makes a relatively light panel. Next, we have the laminated board. This has mica film on its surface to give it resistance and strength. Laminated board, for example, consists of thin layers of wood bounded together. Similarly, laminated fabric consists of 2 or more layers of cloth joined together with an adhesive or a layer of fabric bonded to a plastic sheet, and it's also been used in artworks like painting. Next, we have a wall. A wall is a structure that defines an area, carries a load, provides security, shelter, or soundproofing, or it is also decorative. So let us proceed to the application of charcoal. Charcoal is an organic drawing material from burnt wood. Charcoal is sometimes viewed as preliminary medium for sketching or drawing before painting, able to produce lines with either a soft or strong quality. Charcoal is rather versatile, allowing the artist to approach texture, shading, and tone with ease. So we have different varieties of charcoal. The first one, we have divine charcoal. It comes in thin sticks and is easy to blend and erase. A variety of effects can be created with vine charcoal. A piece of vine charcoal used on its side can create different broad strokes depending on its size and the amount of pressure that is used in putting the charcoal to the surface. Next, we have the compressed charcoal. It is made up of loose charcoal pressed into a stick. It creates a much darker black than vine charcoal. It comes in a square sticks or in a pencil form and are softer than the round areas. Next, we have the graphite. Graphite is related to the medium used in pencil. So this medium is easy to use and not as a messy charcoal. 2B, 4B, 6B, and ebony pencils results in a range of different tones. The higher the B number, the softer the lead, and the softer the lead, the darker the line or tune.